Before you go and comment down below about how I've always been saying that we should sell Diego Carlos, and a few days ago, yes, I made a video where I was in support of this sale. Please watch the end of the video to hear all of my arguments as to why we may have just made almost a season derailing error in this sale, and there's so many moving parts around it. But it goes without saying, before we get into the real deep, serious Aston Villa might have messed up stuff, we are somewhere on the screen, you'll see it, about 20 or so subscribers away from having 3,000 Aston Villa legends, which is all of you, subscribed to this channel. So if you are enjoying the Aston Villa content, be sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe down below, it literally costs you nothing, and turn notifications on so you don't miss any of my videos. Pump them around to your Aston Villa friends and family. Let's talk about why we may have made a mistake selling Diego Carlos. So unless you've been living underneath a rock, I will throw up a couple of things on screen which very much confirm Diego Carlos has been sold to Fenerbahce. The deal is reported between, anywhere between 8.5 million to 10 million pounds. Jose Mourinho really wanted him at Fenerbahce. It made him one of his main targets. There might have been a bit of late drama from Wolves. We're going to get into the late drama in this video as well because it all just seems a bit fishy to me. But he's gone now, which leaves us very, very short at the back. And I made a video, I'll pop a link up to it up there, a few days ago on the channel, where I was very, very excited for this sale to go through for multiple different reasons, and mainly because it seemed to open the door completely for us to sign Loic Bade from Sevilla. Now, if that deal was going through, absolutely I was 100% for the sale of Diego Carlos to facilitate that, right? Get one person off the wage bill, get a little bit of money in, and it frees up the room for Bade to come in. Diego Carlos was on a mega contract at Aston Villa. Now, again, I hold my hands up, that was literally a few days ago. All of the reports were saying that as soon as Carlos was gone, the deal with Bade was close. Aston Villa were progressing it quickly. Even the main man Fabrizio tweeted about it. And yeah, brilliant. I thought fantastic. That is exactly what Villa need. We're upgrading in a position where we need to upgrade. Diego Carlos, considered, I don't know why I went farmery there, considered deadwood he was. But he was really considered deadwood if Bade was coming in. He would have never got anywhere near that starting lineup, and it gave us cover. Now, pop the tweet up from Fabrizio Romano. There's another tweet from I'll put it that side, from a Spanish dude who I'm not sure who he is, but that deal seems to be off the table. Now, there's a number of conflicting reports. Some are saying that we can't match Sevilla's asking price. Others are saying we've matched it. We've spoken to Loic Bade, and he has actually turned around now at this point in proceedings, considering this is a player we've been chasing for about 10 days, and said, I don't fancy it, lads, actually. I'm quite happy here in Spain. So where does that leave us? So on screen, you can see Aston Villa's transfer marked profile. Now, why have I brought us over to this when we're talking about making a mistake on selling Diego Carlos? Well, it's quite simple, my friends and my Villa family. If we go down here and we look at our current squad, now we're going to get into this a little bit later on, although 0% kind of tells you everything you might need to know about that. If we look at our defenders here, it's filtered quite nicely for us, and we look at our centre-back options. Now, Pau Torres is going to be out, again, a metatarsal fracture. We're looking at around 2 months. We're looking at possibly mid to late March for his return. Courtney Hawes, I don't believe exists anymore. I don't know. I genuinely don't know what's happened to him. And that's it, right? For centre-backs, we have Ezri Konsa, who is our starting right-sided centre-back, and we have Tyrone Mings, who has just come back from tearing the same ACL for a second time in his career and looks very, very sloppy on the ball in the style that Emery wants to play football. And that's it. Those are our centre-back options without Diego Carlos. There is no third centre-back. Now, there's an argument. Perhaps Lamar Bagard, a 21-year-old who has barely started to play football in the Premier League, could fill in. Boubacar Kamara, our finest central defensive midfielder, one of our Rolls Royces since his return from the team. Do you want to risk moving him out of that position? Probably not. And that's really it. You can go over to our under 23s. Do you want to pull Sil Swinkles into the starting lineup. The point I'm trying to get out here is, yeah, you know, you've got this Tomori. I mean, the Loic Bade, 40%, it keeps on going down. This is just back to being John around to literally every single club in the world. But we have 2 senior centre-backs left at the club. We have Courtney Hawes, who is not going to play football for Aston Villa ever again. And we have Pau Torres, who, let's be fair, at best is going to be ready to complete 90 minutes of football probably in April. So we're looking at the season's over at that point, let's be fair. It is gone, right, at that point if we want to make a meaningful push. And Bade said no. So I mentioned earlier on there were some delays in the Diego Carlos transfer. It became a bit of a saga. He got on a plane or something and then was off of the plane. It didn't take off. That got delayed. Then it got cancelled. Then Wolves were going to sign him. And then Fenerbahce were out. And then there was another plane and that got delayed again. And then there was finally a plane at like midnight or something that took off and took him to Turkey to sign for Fenerbahce. And now it's all done. Now, I thought at the time, this is a bit weird, right? This isn't how 2 elite clubs would operate, right? Fenerbahce are at the top. I think they're second in the league at the moment, but they're one of the biggest clubs in Turkey. Turkey teams get into the Champions League. It's a major European league. Aston Villa, 18th highest earners in the world, right? A club that's apparently run meticulously off and on the pitch. How could these clerical and administrative oversights be allowed to happen, right? Unless something was going on in the background. Perhaps Villa, and this is just a theory, you know, put my tinfoil hat on, I'm doing some conspiracy theories for you. Unless perhaps we were thinking about pulling out of the deal and keeping Carlos at Aston Villa because we knew this stuff that was happening with Loic Bade in the background. Possibly, maybe. It's just something that strikes me as a possibility anyway. And then you link that in with Diego Carlos gets sold and now pop it up there. Again, Bade transfer seems off. Now, as I film this today, I'll pop a little calendar thing up there for you, make it all fancy-pantsy for you. It is the 23rd of January, which means that we have, let's be fair here, to get a meaningful deal done, about 6 to 7 days, right? Because transfer deadline day, the deals are generally done before deadline day and then they're just getting put over the line. And Aston Villa aren't the type of team that like to scrounge around towards the end of transfer windows. We get our business done quick, early and efficient. We've already seen it with Malen and Garcia coming in to the club. So who are we getting in 7 days, right? Tomori has been mentioned. That one seemed to be reignited yesterday. I find it a little bit strange that goes completely dead and now all of a sudden these sort of tier 3, tier 2 journalists are just pumping out that narrative again now the Bade transfer seems to be off, which is being confirmed by tier 1 journalists. Again, I'm sure if you guys know football Twitter, you know how these are categorised. There's been no official thing from any big journalists, effectively, about Tomori coming in, right? And again, it just seems a bit coincidental to me that it all happens after the Bade deal's off. Now, there's some people saying the Loic Bade deal might still be on. He's only worried about maybe not having them as much playtime due to Ezri Konsa. Again, I believe he was probably being signed to play alongside Konsa this season because I don't think Mings is going to be trusted in that role past January if we sign another centre-back. But ultimately, we're in a tricky spot now. Eric Garcia from Barcelona was one that was being floated around. He has now said that he is staying at Barcelona and Barcelona have said they're going to keep him. Again, there's Tomori. Yes, if that transfer went through, brilliant, right? That's a fantastic deal for us. But I just worry that this is just... I don't know how Villa have allowed this to happen. How can you negotiate for a player for 10 days? Surely you get an early indication from the player that he is going to be happy to sign that deal, and you don't sell your third fit centre-back without another one completely lined up and ready to go. It's amateur stuff, and it just seems like really stupid business, and now we're in a really, really tricky predicament, right? And the thing is now, if we go out and sign a player, I think a majority of people like me might have the same thought on my mind is, well, we've just rushed it because we needed someone, right? Are we going to be able to get behind that person? If it's Tomori, possibly. If it's someone else, I don't know. Are we going to be digging out an unknown again? And then you're going to be thinking the same thing, right? And we cannot, I can't emphasise this enough, we cannot go past January. We cannot finish this January transfer window without signing a very good centre-back who is a starting 11 centre-back, I think, in my opinion, right? Because we can't go with Konsa and Tyrone Mings. If Konsa gets injured, we are playing the rest of the season, which is a European campaign in the Champions League, an FA Cup where we're trying to get a deep run, and the Premier League where we're going to be pushing for top 6, 5, 4, right? With Lamar Bagard as our starting right-sided centre-back. If Tyrone Mings gets injured, we can't do that with Sil Swinkles as our starting left-footed centre-back, right? It just doesn't work. I think you guys know it as well, but I want to hear your comments down below. I just get this sinking feeling that we've messed up big time. We now have 2 senior fit centre-backs at the club. We're unprepared. We're going to have to rush a deal. 1 injury to a centre-back now. Our season's done. Comment below.